he is today. So we're going to be on our best behavior, and we're going to show him a great big GICCA welcome, right? So let's clap our hands and thank this supporters for coming. The floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Because when y'all were here a few seconds ago, y'all were loud. So let's try it again. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Now for the teachers and administrators who were here for the first time go around, I'm going to try to change it up just a little bit, but some of the things you heard at the 10 o'clock hour, you're going to hear again. Only this time we'll have a little presentation. My name is Chris Porter, sports director at First Coast News. As my sister Valerie said, I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm not your ordinary speaker. I'm not going to give you an Obama speech. I'm just going to speak from my heart and tell it like it is. Some of you will be able to relate to me, some of you won't, but hopefully all of you guys will get something out of the message. Now, whenever I speak, I will be honest with you. I love my family. I got my Uncle Ted in the house. I got my niece in the house. I got my brother in the house. And I got my sister over in the house. That makes me feel good. Support is key, which we'll get into that more a whole lot later. Today's conversation hopefully will encourage, inspire, and enlighten you. But if nothing else, I want you guys to leave knowing one thing. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, not 10 years from now, but right now. Believe in yourself. Look at your neighbor and say, believe weak. Look at your neighbor and say, believe. Let's try it again. Hold on. Everybody stop talking. Everybody stop talking. Let's try it again. Look at your neighbor and say, believe. Wrong neighbor. Look at the other one. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. So, I have, whether you believe it or not, I'm 40 years young, going on 41, be 41 in July, and I've known what I want to do since I was 7 years old, since I was 7. I come from a family of gifted athletes, and somehow, some way, the gene missed me. I'm from Warner Robins, as I told you. I don't know how familiar you guys are with high school football, but most people know, if you're a big follower of high school football, that Warner Robins is known as a football powerhouse. Now, it's beginning to be known as a basketball because my first cousin is the head coach, and he's doing big things there. You don't have to believe me, just Google it, Jamal Garman. But all of my uncles, my mom, my cousins, all could ball. I can play a little bit, but if you pick the team of 21, I'd be that person that you just had to put on your team because I'm left. So I had to find a way in order to make my passion for sports work, but in a different capacity. I like the game. I like to talk. I love people. I just can't play. So I said, I want to be a sports anchor. What really made me develop my drive and my passion to be successful is I come from a single-parent home. My mom raised 2 kids by herself. When I was 5 years old, I saw my mom cry over a minimum wage job. Back then, they were paying $5.15 an hour. Nothing. All she wanted was a minimum wage job. At that time, she was pregnant with my sister, Tiffany. Really, I was crying at 5 because my mom is all I had. So if I see my mom crying, I know something is not right, so I was crying. But it was at that precise moment and that time that I realized, you know what, I got to be somebody. Because what I see my mom going through right now, I don't want to see her go through that again. And although I was 5 and I'm the oldest of all my sisters and brothers, it was at that age that I really, truly knew that I had to be different. So from 5 to 7, we didn't have cable at my house, couldn't afford it. We only had 3 channels that came in clearly. One of them was Channel 13. Write his name down, Frank Malloy. Frank, first name, last name, Malloy, M-A-L-L-O-Y. He's the guy that was a sports anchor at WMAZ, the television station in Macon that we were able to watch, who I wanted to be like. That was on the station that came in clearly. And so you have to remember where I'm from, we were not supposed to think outside of getting government assistance. We weren't supposed to think outside of getting a job at a fast food restaurant. Saying that I wanted to be a sports anchor or a sports reporter where I'm from, people would look at you and be like, whatever. Yeah, right. To give you a sense of how people where I'm from and where I lived, what we call the hood, that's how they thought. And where I'm from, it's crazy to say, but if I said out loud that I wanted to be a sports reporter or a news reporter, that would be frowned upon. You had to be an athlete, or you sold drugs, or you did something of that nature. Nobody talked about being doctors, lawyers, reporters, none of that stuff. If you said it, people thought you were crazy. So, 7 years old, knew I wanted to be a sports anchor. Really wanted to play sports, but really wasn't good enough. I had to then figure out a way to make it happen. Now, my mom encouraged me, and I respect and I admire her strength and her courage, because now being a father of one and having a wife, I know how difficult it is to raise one kid, because I only have one, but let alone two. And she did it by herself, and she didn't complain, and she didn't bash our dad, because he wasn't there. She didn't. Even to this day, when I got old enough to understand, that's your father, love your dad, which is key. Because treating people right is one of the keys to success, even when they wrong you. You can't ever win playing dirty. You can't ever win playing dirty. Keep that in mind. You don't have to stab anybody in the back to get an opportunity that's for you, even if that opportunity for you might be delayed. So, grow up, one of the things that I lacked was confidence. Been in TV in December to be 17 years. And to be honest and just to be upfront, it was about my 13th year in my television career that I really believed that I'm truly gifted to do what I'm doing, or what I have been doing now for 17 years. 17 years of doing something took me 13 years to believe. That's why I'm telling you, believe in yourself now. Because a confident individual is going to be a driven individual. A confident individual is not going to allow anything or anyone to stop them from achieving their goal. What else helped me? Having a good mentor or two. Surround yourself with positive people. If your friends or so-called friends or classmates are not encouraging, holding you accountable, pushing you in the right direction, disconnect from them. You need mentors who are going to hold you accountable, who are not going to allow you to be mediocre. So, I get to high school, graduate from high school, I go to college. I was a communications major at Fort Valley State. I went to a sportscasters camp in 2003 out in Los Angeles. It was about 30 of us who all wanted to be sportscasters. I was the only African-American guy there. It was the first time I ever flew on a plane. I had to fly across the country by myself. Little old country me, going all the way across the country, not even confident, by himself. Just imagine what that was like. So I went across the country. We went to a sportscasters camp. At this sportscasters camp were anchors and commentators from around the country in big television markets, New York, Portland, Seattle, all across the country. And so when we were there, we got to do play-by-play for a baseball game, and we also got an opportunity to anchor a sportscast. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was nervous. Remember I told you, didn't believe in myself, didn't have confidence. We had a guy by the name of Paul Green. He was, at that time, was an anchor in New York. He was critiquing our work. So it was about 30 of us, and they paired us up as teams. So the first several groups had gone, and he was shredding them up. So when they got to me, no confidence. I said, you know what, Paul, don't worry about it. I'm good. I know my mom paid $3,000 for me to come out here, but don't worry about it. So he made me bring my tape. Oh, Lord. I was seeing him shred everybody up. So he pops the tape in, and I had a co-anchor, and I had a pen during when I was anchoring the sportscast, just clicking from nerves, just clicking. So 10 seconds into the tape, he stops it and he asks all of the campers, the sportscaster campers, to come around. I'm like, what? You want all them to see my tape? And you shred? Oh, no, man. No. He did it anyway. And he said he played a little bit of it, and then he stopped. And he said, number one, you've already completed 90% of the battle. You look the part. You got presence. You're conversational. You're a natural. Then he's played some more, and he stopped it. He said, you're focused on the stumbling. I'm not focused on that because you just need experience. That's all you need. When you go back to Macon, you need experience. So I hear him out, still not believing in myself. This is in 2003. Get back. I was interning at a station called, the call letters are WGICCA, a Fox station in Macon. Now, I'm not going to call the individual's name, and you'll understand it better as I continue to share the story. He was the sports guy there, and I was interning under him. And remember, as I give you clues from the beginning, it's all going to tie together. Believe in yourself. Remember that if you remember nothing else. And don't mistreat people. You reap what you sow. You don't have to mistreat people or try and sabotage anyone to get what is for you. So he had me thinking I was terrible. I mean, it was just horrible. I'm already not feeling myself thinking I can do it. So at the time, I had a cousin who was the head coach of the Macon Knights. That's an arena football team that used to play in Macon. So myself and that, the guy who was I was the intern who was the sportscaster, we went out, and so he finally let me ask a couple of questions. So my cousin told him, he started laughing. He said, my cousin's going to take your job. I'm like, oh, Lord, why is he saying this, Jesus? Why? He laughed. He said, I promise you, my cousin is going to take your job. So we leave. I leave the internship. Before I graduate, I got a phone call from a lady by the name of Dodie Cantrell. She gave me my first television job. She's my mentor to this day. I hated her when I worked under her because she refused to let me be mediocre. She refused to allow me to settle. She saw the talent within me that I did not see, that mostly everybody else saw. And so she gave me a call. I had watched her growing up in my city. You know, she at one time was doing the Consumer Report, but now she was the news director. And she was like, Chris, how you doing? This is Dodie Cantrell. I'm just quiet. I'm shocked. She kept saying, Chris, are you there? Yeah. Frank Malloy and I saw your tape. Remember the name, Frank Malloy? And we love it. And we want to bring you in. And, you know, you got some things you need to tighten up, but you come in and you learn, you'll be fine. Get the job. Start at the very bottom. News assistant. News assistant pretty much just brings the anchor coffee, Cheetos, scripts, things of that nature. Nothing really that important. So when I got there, and I had been there as a news assistant for about 6 months, I was getting ready to graduate from Fort Valley State in 2004. She brought me in her office, and she said, she popped in all these tapes, and she asked me what I didn't see and what I did see. And she said, and I'm going to be frank, she said, you didn't see not one African-American male who has your talent, who has your ability, who has your potential. And over the next 2 years, I want you to be a sponge. And I didn't say this to the first group, but I want to say this to you guys. I did not start where I am now. You know the song started from the bottom, now you're here? I literally had to start at the bottom of TV, a news assistant. Then she made me a photographer. I didn't want to be no photographer. I want to be a sports anchor. Be a sponge. Because my career, it just continued to build on itself. News assistant, photographer became reporter. With the new age that we're living in, you have to be able to shoot, you have to be able to write, you have to be able to edit. All the skills that I was going to need and still use to this day as the sports director in a top 50 market. Because now the business has changed and you don't have just photographers. You have to know how to do everything. And she also shared with me, Chris, I want you to be a sponge over the next 2 years because when your talent, when your potential becomes your reality, people, no one who may feel threatened by you can sabotage you. You know how to do everything. They don't want to shoot, you can shoot. They don't want to write, you can write. They don't want to edit, you can edit. At the time, I didn't want to hear it. At the time, I thought she was just mean. Even when she embarrassed me once when I finally made my TV debut and I was doing news and I said was when I should have said were, or are where I should have said is, and she storms out of the newsroom. Don't let him get on my TV anymore with every word that comes out of his mouth not being proved. I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm nervous, scared. She ain't helping. But again, it goes back to what I told you about the people you surround yourself, the people you let speak in your life, the people that you call your mentor. If their number one priority is not holding you accountable and making you better, they're not a good mentor. If they allow you to settle for being basic and being mediocre, that's not a good mentor at all, period. And I didn't like her. And she told me when I finally got the opportunity to do sports, she said, and I'm quoting, when your potential becomes full reality, you and I are going to be good friends. Until then, you're not going to like me. And then once your potential becomes reality, I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to become your agent so I can make a whole lot of money. I'm still like, whatever. So I finally get my big break in TV. A guy left from Macon, did sports. Then Dodie leaves and comes to Jacksonville to become the general manager. I'm all upset because now I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I see where she's coming from. And she said, well, why are you crying? I'm a very passionate person. I'll tell you that now. I'm a very, 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 very passionate individual. And she told me I can help you better in Jacksonville than I can here at Macon. Really still didn't understand. Because you got to understand, two things about life I've learned. People can, a lot of times, those people who have your best interest can see talent in you that you can't see for yourself, and so can your enemies. So can your haters. That's why they hate so hard. That's why they work so hard against you, because they can see within you that talent that you don't see within yourself yet. So I come to Jacksonville, and you remember that guy who I told you I interned under, who treated me so bad? Guess who took his job in Jacksonville? Anybody want to guess? Me. And that goes back to what I continue to say. Don't mistreat people. The very person you mistreat could be the very person who replaces you. Or the very person that you mistreat could be the very person that could one day become your boss. Is that my phone? Sounds like it. But I say all that to say this. Number one, believe in yourself. Surround yourself with great people, friends, mentors. If they're not great, then they mean you're no good, move on. Treat people right. Work hard. Period. Work hard. Learn all you can learn. Because what my mentor did for me that I didn't see then, that I saw later, was by making me start at the bottom and learn everything, not only empowered me, but now that I'm in my current role where I manage people and they don't want to do, and sometimes they don't do, doesn't matter because I can. I know how to shoot. I know how to write. I know how to edit. So I would waste energy being upset with them because they didn't do, I take that energy and use it on what I can do. Period. And so I do want to tell you this. People always say, do this, do that. The road of success, you will run into many obstacles. You're going to have a lot of stumbles. You're going to face a lot of challenges. Success is not easy. Don't let anybody fool you. It is not. And don't mess around and be the best at what you do. Being the star ain't easy. You get ridiculed. People envy you. People they become jealous for a gift they're not even gifted at doing. They'll do stuff to try and sabotage you. They won't like you just because they want to be you. And that's why you need people like your family to encourage you, to be there for you, to keep you lifted. Because even now at 40 years old, going on 41, Been the lead guy in my department since 2013. I still need to be encouraged. I still have to be reminded to keep my eyes on the prize. I still have to be reminded that He hadn't brought you this far to leave you. I still have to be reminded that this is just a part of the process. Don't give up. It doesn't go away because you're just getting older. You still need that encouragement. You still need, even at 40 years old, and been in the game 17 years, I'm still learning. I'm still refining my craft. That's what the great ones do. They don't settle for just being, just making it there. They don't settle just because I got the opportunity. They want to continue to grow and get better. And I look at each and every one of you. And I used to be you. What are y'all, 16, 17, 18? Sitting in those same chairs. Listening to a message just like this. And I know if it's 100 people in here, only 5, 6 may take something from this and actually apply it. That's okay. I've done my job. But I also want to say, if it's 100 in here, to the other 95 who may not want to better themselves or want to settle for mediocrity, let them. That's on them. Don't you feel guilty. Don't you not continue to press towards the mark. Because what I will tell you, another thing about success is, when it hasn't made me change in the fact I have lost a sense of where I come from and who helped me and who I love, but you do have to change your company. You do have to operate different. You can, well, when I was young and wasn't a TV person, I could be somewhere acting stupid and silly. I could wild out. I can't do that anymore. And people will say, man, you didn't change since you done. If anything that so-called friend is asking you to do that is not making you better, or if it's something that's not going to get you, help you to get where you're trying to go, they're not a friend. They're not a friend. They're not a friend. And it's okay leaving people who just want to just have potential behind. It's okay. It's okay. And so I say to all of y'all, believe in yourself, be encouraged, do the work, put in the work. Surround yourself around people who are growing, or people who've been there and want to sow into your life. Because here's the deal. The habits you form now, if you're lazy, if you're just, I just want to get by type of person, that's how your life will be. Basic. Mediocre. All right. And don't be mad at anybody when that friend you're sitting by now decided to take the different path. And they're successful. And they're balling. And they're rolling. Don't be mad. Don't be envious. Just remember, we all have a choice. Success is a choice, not a divine right. So be encouraged, my friends. Keep working hard. Keep doing your thing. Surround yourself with positive people. You will need that encouragement, I promise you. Life will throw you some curveballs. Look at these people who you're ask them. Ask these adults in this room. No matter what level of success they have had, they will tell you they still need to be encouraged. They still too have to refine their game and change and evolve with time. They too need a positive word. Life is tough. That's it. That's all I got. Got any questions? Yes, sir. You know, it's interesting that you say that because that's always been my goal. But as I've gotten older, I realized I don't want to live out of a suitcase. And working for ESPN, you would. I'm not going to say that I would rule that out totally because it is a fantastic opportunity. But I am always looking to broaden my horizons. But I don't think I want to really live that lifestyle of living out of a suitcase. Anybody else? Go ahead. People. You get to go out. You get to meet new people. You get to cover sports. Sports is that one thing that brings people together of all walks of life, different backgrounds. Sports is that interesting tool. It's that entity that, in the craziest way, when like bad things happen, it seems like it's the one thing that brings people together. You know what I mean? So that's another thing I like about it. Politics of it. There are a lot of politics in the newsroom. True, yes. Get credentials, yes. He said, do you get into games free? Yes. And the other good thing about doing sports, they have good food. Anybody in media, especially sports, who says they don't like to eat, they're lying. They're lying. Anybody else? Go ahead. I have. Great dude. Very funny. Very funny. Very funny. Sports-wise, yes. Yes, sir. Sports-wise, yes. Interesting. Glad you asked that. So I'm going to show you guys a clip in just a second. It's about 6 minutes and 42 seconds long. This is what we call a resume tape. Remember the first session? This is a resume tape that I put together in 2019 when I went to NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists. That's where we all convene and we meet news reporters and directors and executives from around the country and the network level as well. And so I put this together, and this is one of my sports casts. Even this stuff that you see back here, I put that in myself. We have what we call a rundown. I stack the show with the most important thing I think of that day at the top, which you shouldn't be surprised that it's Georgia, because I am a Georgia Bulldogs fan. I don't care about FSU. I don't have any problem with them. I sure don't care about Florida, excuse me. Anywho, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to stop it periodically to give you an example. This is what we call a super. That's a super. This is the thing that you see with our names or coming up or whatever the story is about. I have to put that in myself. The information that you see on it, I type it myself. Now, sometimes I don't, because I have two people under me. From time to time, they will produce the show, and they will do these things. This is what we call this is that green wall that you have in your studio. This is what I'm standing in front of. It's green. And so a virtual set, that's what it's called. No, this is virtual. Yep. So I'm going to give you a little something. We'll stop. Y'all ready for me to hit play? Yes, sir. You want to turn the light off? Could you dim the light a little bit, they said? Oh. Did they help y'all see better? All right. Kirby Smart is gearing up for year number 4 as the head man of the Georgia Bulldogs. And while he's enjoyed a lot of success in Athens, if you are a Bulldogs fan, I don't have to tell you this. He, like many college football coaches, has not had success against Nick Saban. Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide have been a thorn in the Dogs' side the last 2 years, beating Georgia for the national title in 2018 and then for the SEC championship this past season. Day 2 of SEC Media Days, and Kirby was trying to explain how to get over the hump.
One of the themes our players have adopted this year has been to do more.
It is 10:12 London time, and for the second straight night, it is cold here along the South Bank. Our Jacksonville Jaguars arrived here in London around 6:30 this morning. Then about 5 hours later, they took to the practice field in front of some Jaguar fans here in the UK. The mood at practice, boy, the guys were moving on a hop. They know that Sunday's game is huge, and they do not want to lose their 4th straight game and fall 2 games under 500 before the bye week next week. Hello, everybody. 16th ranked Florida State hit the road tonight to Clemson to take on the Tigers. Leonard Hamilton's nose, one of the hottest teams in the ACC. FSU entered tonight's game on a 7-game ACC winning streak. Seminoles had it working beyond the arc early. Terrence Mann says, "I am the man." Release rotation splash. FSU up by 3. This time the Noles creating off the dribble trick Forest taking it amongst the trees of the Jam. Oh, Jam nose up by 4. Then right before the half, MJ Walker from the corner, pop, lock it in, dropping that three-pointer in. FSU led it 38-23 at the half. They went on to win 77-64. That's now 8 straight ACC wins. The River City Rumble round 2 shifts to JU tomorrow night. The Fins will look to make it a regular season sweep of the Ospreys after taking the January meeting by 5. Both squads within striking distance of a top 4 seed in the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament.
For us, we've got to eliminate losing first.
The last 4A regional finals, University of Christian seeking revenge. PK Young has knocked them out of the playoffs each of the past 2 seasons. Down early, fighting Christian, battling back. Leon Yeoman, reverse layup. The sophomore scored 7 straight points. UC down by 1. Still down by 1 in that first quarter when Yanisha Harkless says, release rotation, splash! That 3-pointers just like Maxwell's coffee grew to the last drop, but PK Young went on a 23-6 run in the second quarter. Raquel Cassidy with the layup, and they led at 35-18 at the half. They went on to win by a final of 58-41. The road to DeLand continues for St. John's Country Day School. The Spartans will play for their 8th straight girls soccer state championship tomorrow afternoon. The Spartans left today to a school-wide send-off after losing for the first time since the 2015 season. The Spartans are right back where they knew they'd be. Kickoff for tomorrow's Class 1A state championship game is scheduled for 4 o'clock. The Spartans will face Lakeland Christian.
We've kind of fought back from our 2 losses early on in our season.
Don Capers will join the Jaguars coaching staff as senior defensive assistant. Capers brings more than 3 decades of NFL coaching experience. As many of you might remember, Capers served as Jags defensive coordinator from 1999 to 2000 under then head coach Tom Coughlin. 2 players who know a little something about playoff victories at the stadium, of course, have officially committed to playing in the 2019 tournament. Ricky Fowler and Sergio Garcia will tee it up at TPC Sawgrass in just 21 days. Fowler won the players back in 2015, while Garcia won the tourney back in 2008. Tonight's baseball game between JU and FSU postponed due to inclement weather. The game has been rescheduled for tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. All of you guys who had tickets, you can use those tickets on tomorrow. Speaking of JU, the school has completed construction. So that's what we call a sports cast. You saw some of the clips. A lot of the stuff that you saw in there, I did write. Some of it I did not write because I have a team. I have 2 and 3 in my department, and they go out and shoot like the softball send-off. They shot that. The basketball game with the young ladies playing the tournament, they shot that, and we call produced up the show. And this is just one part of my job. This is what you would describe in TV as anchoring. Let me show you one other thing right quick that people don't see, and why I enjoy anchoring. The story I'm about to show you, because the thing about sports now is, and that I try to do is, you can't do this every day, but I like to tell stories that you don't have to be a sports fan to enjoy. And here's what I mean. This is a story that I did recently about mental illness. How many of you guys know, have you heard of the school Bowles? The Bowles School in Jacksonville. How many of you guys have heard of that? Well, Hayden Hurst, tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, he's from Jacksonville, and he's had issues with depression and anxiety. So what happened was, he has a golf tournament that's going down on Monday in Jacksonville, and I went to his parents' house just really to talk about the golf tournament. He's teaming up with the Youth Crisis Center in Jacksonville. They work with young people who battle mental illness. And I thought we'd just talk about the tournament and why, he's raising money and that'd be it. Well, he opened up about his struggles with anxiety and depression. I'll let you see it.
There was weeks at a time where I would sit in a dark room and not want to be around people.
A born and raised First Coast sports star is tackling the stigma of mental illness. Even at the top of his game, a years-long battle with depression and anxiety started taking a toll on Hayden Hurst. Tonight, he explains the wake-up call that almost killed him and how it has led him to give back.
You seem genuinely happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. from where I was with the Pirates and everything, and then walking on at South Carolina and then being a first-round pick, this is just, I'm living a dream right now.
Jacksonville native, Bowls alum, former Pittsburgh Pirate, current Baltimore Ravens tight end, Hayden Hurst. When you run down his bio, he appears to have had the perfect life. However, it's been anything but that for this 26-year-old.
It was depression, anxiety. It was pretty bad for about 3 years.
Hayden's demons bested him in his second season in the minors with the Pirates down in Bradenton, Florida.
And it really affected me off the field.
The star baseball player at Bowls, where he was the best player, found himself in a position he had never been before, struggling to dominate the game he loves. It proved to be too much.
There was weeks at a time where I would sit in a dark room and not want to be around people.
He was drinking every day.
That fear of embarrassment, I'd never experienced anything like that. I wasn't really good at showing my emotions.
Feeling overwhelmed, Hayden reached out to his parents. First, his dad. Hayden says it was on the golf course that he opened up to his father.
And he told me, family history with his OCD and his anxiety and things as well, and the depression that he went through. And it was easier then understanding, hey, he's been through this, he understands what's going on. And then I kind of laid out, here's what's going on in my life.
It helped, but it was only temporary relief. After deciding to quit baseball, Hayden walked on the football team at the University of South Carolina. His battle with depression and anxiety returned.
I woke up in the hospital. Really, I didn't know a whole lot what had happened. I had to have a friend fill me in, and apparently I'd been drinking and went home to my apartment and tried to cut my wrist and woke up, laid in a puddle of blood, and one of my friends found me and called 911.
It was at that South Carolina hospital Hayden had what he calls his come to Jesus moment.
I was sitting in a hospital room, handcuffed to a bed, the jeans that I wore the night before, and the hospital gown. And I kind of just looked up and was like, man, what happened? What are you doing? And that was kind of my moment where I pretty much hit rock bottom and figured out I needed to ask for help.
Hayden got it and battled back. Now he spends time speaking to young people. He recently talked to some at the Youth Crisis Center here in Jacksonville.
And I want to use my platform to help people.
For some reason, people equate mental illness with having to be ashamed. It's something you shouldn't talk about. What do you want to say to those people?
I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. Like I said, everybody goes through something, and to what extent it kind of varies. The best thing my parents ever did is just become available. There's not really a right or wrong thing that you can say or an answer that's going to change everything, but just making sure that you're available and you're understanding to talk was the biggest thing for me. Again, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a problem in this world that not many people like talking about, and like I said, if my story is going to change the narrative on this, and people are going to talk about it more, so be it.
Hayden also says to remember you're not alone.
I think in some way, shape, or form, it affects every single person in this country, in this world. Everybody has their problems, everybody fights their own fight and has their demons, and my story can kind of be put out there and help the next person kind of see the silver lining in it. Like, man, that kid was down in the dumps and pretty much at rock bottom, was able to dig himself out, lean on his family for help, turn himself into a first-round draft pick in the NFL. Why can't I overcome this as well?
He admits, though,
like I said, I don't have the answer to fix all this. It's still a trial and error to this day. But I will say, I have much more good days than I do bad days. I'm not this superhero that, it's portrayed on TV. I'm the regular person. I struggle with depression, anxiety, and things like that.
Hayden told me if he helps just one kid who's watching this story tonight, he's done his job. Now, his foundation, the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation's mission is to raise awareness of mental health issues in adolescents and teens by funding mental health services and or programs through donations and fundraising events. Well, a week from tonight, the foundation is hosting a golf tournament at Deer Creek Country Club here in Jacksonville. The event tees off bright and early Monday morning at 8:30 with all of the proceeds from the event. They will benefit the Youth Crisis Center here in Jacksonville. If you'd like more information on the golf tournament, look for this story on firstcoastnews.com.
So important to talk about this topic. Chris, thank you. And if you or someone you...
So now you see how we've used sports, or I've used sports to cross over. I know a lot of people who know someone or know of someone who may have issues with mental illness and how it is a very sensitive subject that in most situations people don't want to talk about. And as you heard Hayden there using his celebrity to say it's nothing wrong with saying that I need help and to get help and to talk about it. So that's one of the other things that we try to do is try to use sports again to educate and to empower. And you don't have to be a sports fan, in order to appreciate him sharing his struggles with mental illness. Any questions, concerns, comments, thoughts? Yes, sir. He might. He doesn't want to be the backup tight end anymore in Baltimore. He wants to come to the Jaguars, but we'll see. And that's the truth. I'm not just saying the truth. Go ahead, my friend. Super famous. I met a lot of people. Who I think super famous? I do have a person that I met a coach that I really liked a whole lot before this federal indictment, Rick Pitino. And I met him. But I met the president, former president, Bill Clinton. I met a lot of people. So, but who I would think, because I'm in the business, people that you think that I would be enamored by, I'm not. You know what I mean? I didn't. I didn't get a chance to meet Kobe. But it's interesting that you brought that up because we did a piece on him the day after he died. But no, I never met Kobe Bryant. Well, that's come up. One of the things that my general manager has said is that we don't, first of all, that piece also shows my versatility, that I can be fun and we can do highlights, but at the same time, I know how to tell a story. And that's when it goes back to my mentor telling me, learn how to tell a story, because even in sports, even in highlights, you tell a story. And so it's funny that you mentioned that part, because while nobody has approached me about doing a show, my GM encourages my news directors to put me in situations like that because they feel like people always feel comfortable and are willing to open up and share issues like mental health.
So now that you're at this place in your career,
Mm-hmm.
how important is it for you, like, to still be on time, still have the right attitude, still come in and do what you're supposed to do, still follow rules, still have directions? Talk about that.
It's called being a professional. Being on time, still studying your craft, doing things in a timely manner. Because in TV, the thing about it is at 5 o'clock, the news is going to start whether you are ready or not. You can't be like, hold on, I'll do it tomorrow, give me 5 more. No. And being a professional part of it is being on time, doing your job, meeting your deadline, looking professional, acting professional. That's all a part of being a pro.
Any more questions? Okay.
Go ahead. I don't, but the meteorologists do. Because meteorology is made up a lot of physics and science. And my profession, I really, in my particular side of things, we don't use it much, if at all, but the meteorologists definitely do. And that's a good question, yeah.
So I noticed one of the clips that said live from London. How often do you travel?
I travel during football season a lot. When the Jaguars go on the road, I usually select the games I want to go to, and the ones that I don't, my number 2 or number 3, they get to go. But I travel quite a bit during football season. Like, in fact, next week, I leave Monday, I fly to Indianapolis, and I'll be there until Sunday covering the NFL Combine. Well, I met Jake from Warner Robins, my hometown. I've met a lot of the players, Sony Michel, the primetime players, I met them. Because when you cover them, those are the people you really want to talk to. Solomon Kinley, who's from Jacksonville, who's at the Combine this year. I covered him in high school. I know him. DJ Dallas, covering him from Glenn Academy. So I know quite a few of them and interviewed quite a few of them. I did. All the time. I work with him every day. Is there a more specific question you want to ask about Jalen? You want the truth, or you want a professional version? Me personally, I think the Jaguars can't afford to lose anybody that's talented. Have you seen their record the last few years? Say again. And so I feel like our issue has been not drafting stars. When you draft them, you got to keep them. Period. Anybody else? I have. I've come here a couple of times for our high school game of the week. That's how I got to really know DJ when he played at Glenn Academy. So, yeah, I come all the time. Y'all got to watch. I'm here all the time. Y'all come to the game of the week. Anybody else? What's up? Michael Phelps at the Olympics. The most famous athlete I've ever met. Anybody else?
You showed us what was possible with the green screen up in there, and that looked really, really good, very, very professionally done. I just want to point out a group of students who are here right now. You guys stand up over there. They gave us a green screen of a very professional nature, and they painted that thing by hand. Stand up, guys.
Good job. It looks good.
So hopefully we can learn to do it.
Yep. Anything else?
Let's give Mr. Porter a hand. Thank him for Thank you.